Mind Gap Podcast.
Hey everybody, welcome to Mind Gap Podcast. I'm Doug.
I'm Justin, and Doug is giving me pasta lessons tonight.
I am. Pasta lessons.
Yes. So Doug, what's your first
trick.
pasta lesson?
My first pasta lesson is if you want to make a real good sauce, you want to add a little bit of zazziness to it. And I learned this from All Things Barbecue. All right? He did a little pizza bread. And one of the things he did, he added to his sauce a scoop, a little spoonful of pesto, which gives it a little bit of a little bit of pizzazz. And ever since then, I've done it. And every time I have a little bit of red sauce, I'm like, it's got to have a little bit of pesto in it. I love pesto. It's so goddamn
Now, do you
good.
make your own pesto or do you buy the pesto?
I have made my own pesto, but I found this jars of it at Costco that are so fucking good. I'm like, I don't need to make my own. I'm good just buying this. And
so you're okay going the store-bought route on it.
It depends because we've gone on trips. I've gone to the local places or whatever, and I try to find something, and it's okay. I think I'm accustomed to the way this flavor is because some of them are pretty potent.
Sure.
Some of them, like when I was in Tampa, they had like a citrusy one, which I wasn't super into.
Of course they did. Fucking Florida.
They did.
What else can we jam a citrus into?
Right, exactly.
Ron
Not
DeSantis'
schools.
Urethra.
Not schools, because they're teaching real history.
You can't teach the history of citrus.
Can't do that. Because God forbid that you mentioned that black people were slaves.
Right. But do mention God.
Indeed, yes.
We want God in and history out.
And we want to make sure that you don't have to carry a permit to carry a gun.
Right.
Florida.
Florida. This episode brought to you by Florida.
Florida. Don't live here. Come to visit.
That should be the slogan for Florida. Florida,
right.
Don't live here.
Florida, don't live here.
You always have to make that sound after.
Yeah, it's just like you always just gotta sneak it in there.
Yeah.
I'm super happy to be here on this podcast episode. Just a quick shout out to last week's episode. If you haven't checked out episode 409 with Danny Kravitz, fucking do yourself a favor and go check it out because what a lovely guest. What an amazingly creative guy. And as of recording this, his book, The Marksman, novelization of The Marksman, is officially available. So you can go check that out. Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Apple Books, which I didn't know was a thing, all that sort of stuff. You can go find it. Just Google The Marksman book. You can find it. It's available. Support Danny. Support Chris Charles. He's a great dude. And man, what a fun conversation just about creativity, about writing. He was just so much fun to talk to. It was an absolute blast.
He's just a very positive person too. Like was the whole time, energy level was up here. Super happy to answer questions. Had some philosophical thoughts and debates with us. It was absolutely fantastic. And we just scratched the surface.
Yeah.
Like he's someone that we will for sure be bringing back on because there's a lot more to cover with him.
I reached out to him after the show, just thanking him. He goes like, "I hope you'll let me come back on." I'm like, "Oh, you bet your ass." I literally said, "You bet your ass we're going to have you back on."
Bet your ass.
Because you're so much fun to talk to.
Try to stop us.
Yeah.
And then that was a threat.
Us. Yeah. And then it turned into a threat.
Turned into a very hostile conversation after that.
Yeah. It was really cool. And honestly, just his approach to movies, like his excitement towards just watching something and letting yourself feel something. Like the idea of like, man, if you can feel an emotion, like that's what it's all about. And I've really, honestly, in the past week, have been leaning into that and the stuff that I'm watching. Even when movies I'm watching that I'm like, these aren't that good. I think objectively, or to me now, like they're just not that good. I can still find those key moments where I'm like, oh, this is making me feel a certain way. And I like that. And I'm leaning into it. I'm like, and this is a good moment. And that the movie doesn't have to be just black and white, good or bad.
Sure. Yeah.
You're like, hey, this movie has a lot of flaws, but this moment is fucking awesome. Like this is really, really cool. And I've thoroughly, I just kind of tried to be a lot more positive, especially we've talked about this before, just how difficult it is to create anything at all. And if someone is creating something in earnest, they're not trying to, you don't have some corporate buttholes trying to cash in on something and be like, okay, you guys are just trying to cash in on something. But if it's something made in earnest, like, go in with that mindset of like, someone tried to make something, let's appreciate that.
I've been listening to, I'll go through phases with what podcasts. I've been picking back up the Conan O'Brien podcast. And
yes.
When they're bantering, just him, Matt, and Sona, Conan, I can't remember what the context of the conversation was, but they got on to where Conan was like, when I was at the late night show, I used to get invited to all these screeners for guests that I'd be having on so we could see their movie and I'd have something to talk about. And he goes, Sona, I brought you to quite a few of those. And we'd always walk out and he goes, some of them were good. And some of them we were like, they tried. And some of them a lot of them were just absolutely horrible. And we had to try to figure out what to say nice about it. Mm-hmm. When the guest came the next day, but he goes, but every single one that we walked out of, Sona, every single one, your response was, well, that was fantastic. And he goes, and you're the worst judge of movies because they weren't all fantastic. And she's like, but she shared the same idea. Yeah. She's like, yeah, but someone made it. And he goes, that's a low bar of entry for... He goes, someone made it. She goes, no, someone raised the money. Someone wrote the script. And he's like, yeah. And so they ended up getting to, it's a fair assessment. But I think that is really where you and I have started to kind of go. We started this podcast a little bit, ironically, when we were younger, we were more curmudgeon-y.
100%.
And I feel like as we've done the podcast, we've actually opened up to a little bit more. We've opened our palates up, if you will.
That's
and
been
our brains.
my kind of my trajectory of most things in consuming art. I was such a dick with music when I was younger. Such an asshole. I was so close-minded to so many things. And then, with movies, I would just be like, oh, that's a bad movie. And then I've had fun going back and just re-watching shit. Sure. As of late, I'm just like seeing a movie and something will pop up. I'm like, you know what? I haven't seen that in forever. Let's fucking rewatch that. Let's see if that's any good. And be like, yeah, I mean, I didn't. It's problematic, It didn't hit me in the right ways, but I can at least go through and just be excited to watch something, and to be like, I don't know, we'll see this. My time is valuable, so I do try to choose things, intentionally with that. But there's things that I think I have a newfound appreciation for when I go back and rewatch them, and I'm like, oh, this, you know what, this is better than I remember, or I can at least appreciate some moments in it where I'm like, you know what, this is pretty cool. And I've definitely tried to take that approach now, and kind of just celebrate, the fact that, let's be honest, we have access to so much content. Like some of it, again, we can say too much in a lot of regards, but I'm just like, I don't know, man. I try to appreciate as much as I can,
I'll always make the argument that we currently do have access to too much content. I'm finding myself, and this is where lines are blurring because I can't remember if you and I have talked about this or Haig and I separately have talked about this while we're supposed to, be working. Mm-hmm. But the concept of having access to too much and binging actually preventing you from retaining story as much as we used to be able to, because you can just rip through a whole season in 2 or 3 days, and you can do that with multiple shows, and you're consuming so much. It makes it a lot harder, I think, to actually sit and absorb. When you used to watch stuff week to week, you got the whole week to sit on it and think about it, and it really like burned into your memory. Older shows, I can remember very specific plot lines still for specific episodes and stuff like that. Recently, though, like if I'm watching something, I'm like, that was a great series. And then I can really recall a lot of specifics that I used to be able to recall. So I do think that to a fault, I think we almost have access to too much now.
Yeah. I mean, it's to the point where it's so difficult to keep up, So it's hey, this new show came out. Have you watched it? And it's just like, yeah, no, I haven't, because it's on a list, some mythical list,
Yeah.
And it's like,
I used to keep an actual list, and I gave that up.
Yeah. Like I keep hearing stuff recommended to me. I'm like, I'll get to it eventually, but I'm also like, I need to be in the right mood. I keep people like, dude, Andor is good. I hear it's good. I'm going to watch it at some point.
Yeah.
I'm just not in a Star Wars mood. Haven't been for a while. And I'm sure it's great, but I'm like, whenever I finish something, I'm like, I could start Andor, and I'm like, nah, and I find something else.
I just started Succession.
Yeah.
Because I know how favorite it was with all the award shows, and it was critically, acclaimed and all that. And it was one of those where I was like, I had it in my queue, and every time I would go to Max, I'd be like, no, not now. Not now. And now that I started it, I'm into it. And I'm halfway through season 1, and it's great. But it took me quite some time to get to the point where I was in a Succession mindset. Yeah.
It's like that sometimes with anime, too. Like Christian Humes, who was on, a little while ago, who was really big. He's a huge, I would say, evangelist for the show One Piece that has, I think, over 1,000 episodes. And I'm
we talked about that, didn't we?
We did.
Yeah.
And he was posting something on Threads, and I replied, because they're actually making a live action show of it on Netflix.
Gotcha.
And he made some,
because that's worked out so well for them thus far.
Hey man, throw enough shit at the wall, something's gonna stick.
That's exactly it.
Cornelius 1312.
The Netflix model.
Yeah. But he said something out there, and I was like, hey man, listen. I just jumped in the conversation. I'm like, looking, I trust that this show's good, but it is so daunting to even consider starting this. And he goes, I'm going to DM you. And he's like, here's this site that tells you, he goes, because there's some filler in this show. He goes, here's the guide on how to watch it that will bypass most of that stuff and get you to what you want to. And I'm like, I don't know, man. I don't know if I can do that. I don't have I'm not committed to this program.
Yeah.
Can't do it. Won't do it. I'm sorry. I won't. Ain't gonna happen.
What's the new Star Wars one that's out? I can never remember the.
Ahsoka.
Ahsoka. That's it. Yeah. Same thing with that, where I've heard a lot of people say like, oh, you to really understand it, you need to go back and watch, what is it, Rebels or some.
Who fucking cares?
There's 2 different anime series, and but they're like, without that. Or what I saw someone say, like, okay, here are the episodes of that animated series to watch. It's like season 1, episode 3, and then this one, and then this one, and then that should give you enough. And I'm like, if I have to go back and put this filler in and piece it together, I'm like, it's barrier to entry is too high for me.
Zero interest.
I can't.
Interest in anything Star Wars these days. I'm just out. I'm like, I don't care. I don't want to commit any time to it, any effort to it. I don't care if people enjoy it. Good for them. I'm just like, I'm over Star Wars.
It gets to the point, though, to your point with that anime, if you've got too much of a backlog to go through, or if you need to find yourself too many anchor points to get yourself ready for it's too much. It's hard.
There's a barrier. There, and if you don't have it, and you can't watch it, you can't enjoy it. I'm like, I'm not gonna fucking bother. I don't care that much about Star Wars. So there's some things I'll jump through the hoops for. Where I'm like, all right, maybe I'll check this out or whatever. But I'm like, nah, I don't fucking care. I don't give a shit. I don't give a fucking shit. What you should give a shit about is our YouTube channel, youtube.com/mindgappodcast. Subscribe, please. Hit the like button, please. Comment, please. It means a lot to us. We're chugging along, and if you're ever listening to this being like, man, how can I help out Doug and Justin? That's the best way to do it. youtube.com/mindgappodcast. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. Hit the like button. When we post shit, just engaging with us, it helps. It helps with the algorithm and all sorts of stuff like that. So that would mean the world to us. If you could support us, support our guests, things of that nature. Appreciate you. I think we had a pretty good boost with Danny's show. So thank you to everyone who came out and supported that. I know that's big for Danny as well. So thank you very much. Check out a link in the description for our Discord. Join the Discord community. Check out redbubble.com. Link is in the description for our merchandise, and then patreon.com/mindgappodcast for all that good jazzy stuff. If you want to, I'll be honest with you, that's just the spot where you can just directly fund us, and we'd appreciate it. So we don't have any plans right now at the moment. We've come up with ideas. We don't necessarily know how to fully utilize that, where you can give us money and we can give you something in return. So we're all ears for stuff. So, but that would be really, really cool. So anyway, fun stuff.
You covered it. That's it.
I got it, baby. I nailed it. Also, I host a video game stream on Fridays at 8 p.m. Central. I've been playing for the first time ever the same game for many weeks in a row, and that is Baldur's Gate 3.
You've been rocking that game, man.
You have no idea.
I don't.
You have no idea what I've been doing
Is it become a sickness?
I mean, I don't consider it a sickness. I consider it love.
Would you say you're down with the sickness?
I've put in almost 100 hours into it so far.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
All right.
The part of the challenge with that is when you do multiplayer games, there's my single player game, which is where I've gotten the farthest. But anytime you do a multiplayer game, you basically kind of start over.
Okay.
And so you have to like almost, you're playing that campaign and whatever. And so like I have my campaign, I have the stream campaign, I have my campaign with Seth, and I have my campaign with Eric.
Okay.
So that's...
So wait, you're playing your own campaign separate from the stream?
Yes.
Like you got another one that you started over and are playing again.
Yes.
Just for the entertainment value.
Yes.
Interesting. So you've got 4 different campaigns open.
Yeah. Well, the cool thing about this game is while a lot of the events, you know what to expect, there's also wild shit that happens that you don't even understand. Like the love that went into this game. If you're not familiar with it, it's essentially a role-playing game that also has like turn-based tactical fights, and it's based in the world of Dungeons and Dragons, in the world of Faerun. And it's straight up like you build your character, you create a character sheet, you design them, whatever you want them to be, you pick their class and all sorts of shit like that. It's really, really cool. And every time I play, every one of my campaigns, I'm a different character. I'm a different race. I'm also, so it's interesting play style for me. And whenever you're in some sort of dialogue, oftentimes based on the situation, you may have a specific dialogue choice you can make based on either your race or your class or both, which will give you a very interesting way to play. And I've done this one encounter 3 times now. And the last time that I did it, the creature we were fighting stopped the fight and tried to bargain with us. I didn't even know that was possible.
Seriously?
It was like, hey, whoa. Let's talk this out. You give me this thing, and I will give you something powerful. And Eric was playing his character.
Just intimidated with you?
It was basically, he was about to die. And it was like, hold on. Wait. And then Eric used his character to intimidate them to basically be like, no, fuck you. I'm not going to give you this, but you're going to give me the power up anyway. And he rolled high and he got it. And I was like, we probably shouldn't have let that thing go, but I'm really happy that this happened because I haven't seen this happen yet.
That's incredible.
Which is wild. So just, it's the endless possibilities that are available in this game. Just, they tickle me to no end. And I constantly see videos of the way people approach different things in this game. I mean, I watched Matthew Mercer, as he's playing this game, create a wall of crates that were insanely high, and then he had this arrow that allowed him to teleport, and he teleported on top of a castle. That's how he got in. I was like, fucking look at that. That's what you can do. People synced up, what was it? It's Tchaikovsky's 1812 Overture, is that the one?
Sure.
That has like the cannons and stuff. It's like da 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 da.
I think it's 18, yeah.
Someone synced that up to them because in the game you can set up explosive barrels. They set up barrels all around this city, and they set it off, and it was just like ba 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 ba, and it was just like the whole city erupted into explosions, and they synced it up to that song. It was the best fucking thing I'd ever seen. It was incredible. And there's just constant things where, I don't know, man, I could go on forever. The cool shit that I've seen, the reactions that I've seen from people as they do things, not thinking, not knowing what's going to happen because of what they do. And they're like, yeah, oh no, like their emotions just like change. It's the best fucking thing in the world.
That's a mark of a truly good game.
Yes.
A well-designed game is because you can play it over. It's got you simultaneously playing 4 different campaigns and having 4 vastly different experiences in each one of them. Yes. And then when you're done with those, odds are you're going to fire it back up and play through again completely differently and have a 5th, experience with this game. That's the hallmark. I'm not a huge gamer, but to me, that if you asked me what's the hallmark of a good game, that would be right at the top of the list. Also,
this game has no microtransactions. Everything was in the game at launch. And this is made by Larian Studios. Larian Studios has been getting nothing but praise from the community, and a lot of other publishers have been like, yeah, this game is a bit of a fluke. Don't go thinking this is how it's going to be. People are like, hey, fuck you.
So
like,
the system is trying to pull them down.
How about you just make a full game?
Yeah.
At launch, and don't, put this shit behind paywalls. And because they spent, I purchased the game in early access in 2020. Mm-hmm. Like early on, I paid $60 for it, and I played a little bit. I'm like, oh, this game is not ready. And I don't feel like testing this. So I didn't touch it for 3 years. Wow. And then they finally launched it, and I was like, this game fucking rules, man. Like, this is amazing.
And did you have to buy it again?
Nope. In fact, Bingo. They gave anyone who bought it in advance got like some bonus
See?
Little things, like just purely cosmetic things that you could put on your characters and things like that. And it has been nothing short of amazing. It's been great playing with other people as well. On last Friday's stream, Clarissa is playing as a monk. She killed a goblin with 2 sausages. It was fucking incredible. She goes, you can dual wield sausages. I'm like, excuse me? And she's like, hiya! And just starts beating the shit out of goblins with sausages. I'm like, that is fucking amazing. That is so cool.
Those sausages.
Yeah, it's awesome. So
that's really cool.
It's a phenomenal game. And I'll be playing that again this Friday with Seth, Emilio, Clarissa. So we have our own little thing that we're doing and just rolling through, having a great time. And I have to say, in these kinds of games, I can never be a bad guy. Some people are like, oh, I'm going to be a dick in this game. I'm going to be an asshole. I'm going to be evil. I cannot do it.
Why?
I just can't. I cannot get myself to be a dick even in a fictitious world. I just can't. I cannot. If I get put in a situation where it's like you have to make a choice, I'm most of the time compelled to look up and see what happens, because I'm like, I have to make the right choice. I can't get this wrong.
Wow.
I'm playing a paladin, which is like the perfect thing, like, because you're just they're like anti-evil, things like I always go with their dialogue. I ran into a necromancer the other night, and it's like, hello, would you like to talk? And I didn't even get, like, there was all these different things you could do, and he's just like, yeah. And basically he's like, as a paladin, I am compelled to kill you. And I'm like, I'm picking that one. We're gonna fucking fight this guy because he's evil. He's a necromancer. I'm not making deals. I'm not whatever. And the guy just goes, fine. And I'm just like, let's go. We're going to town on this. Like, I won't do it. Or someone's like, oh, someone got stolen. I'm like, as you have my oath as a paladin, I will save them. Like, I'm going to pick that one because that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to be the good guy.
Someone's got a white knight syndrome, Dougie.
It's not white knight. It's just, I'm lawful good. That's who I am. Like,
you can't even separate it for the role playing.
While I am not I'm not Captain Rogers. I'm Captain Rogers, and like the way that I approach things, and that I'm like, I have to do the right thing. Like, I cannot. There is a child who's like, thank you for helping me. I can't select the option that's like, yeah, you know how else you can help me? You could fucking give me money. Like, I'm not gonna extort a child, for this sort of shit. But
that sounds fun to me. Because I can't do that. I would never do that in the real world. So to be able to do that with no consequences sounds fantastic. I'll extort a whole town.
Right. See, and so some people can find fun doing that. I can't do it. Now, if you want to tell me, like, I nuked all of these goblins in a goblin settlement. I mean, those guys, because here's the thing. I went in, I'm like, I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. And they're like, ha, we burned down that town and we tortured those people. And I'm like, all right, well, maybe not right this moment because you're neutral to me, but you all are going to die. Like, it's going to happen. I will wipe this encampment off the face of this world. Jesus. Because you all attacked an innocent town, you burned it to the ground, you killed people, innocent people. Y'all are going to pay. And every time I play this game, it's going to be hard not to kill you all. Like, it's going to be hard not to just destroy you and let your blood soak the dirt because I'm going to nuke you.
Let me ask you this. Do you know the full history of this goblin tribe?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
I'm pretty sure I do.
Like, this town years ago, this town didn't wrong them? And this is an ancient battle?
Listen, I don't want to be racist, but goblins, pretty bad creatures most of the time. Okay. Pretty bad. And I got to witness their behavior and what they're doing. They fucking killed an owlbear and stole its cub and they were using a game called Chase the Owlbear, where they basically chase the owlbear and try to catch it. And they're torturing this little creature, and it's just the fucking worst. They're awful. They kill innocent people, and then they put them on a rotisserie over a fire.
So they're eating. They have to eat. They're hunters.
Yeah, they're eating dwarves.
You want them to go hungry.
There's other things. They have pork loins and shit on the goddamn spit. They also have dwarf.
Well, so maybe that's a delicacy. Do I come in and slap the basil out your pasta sauce? Pesto? Sorry.
How dare you?
I'm just saying, man.
How dare you?
What if there were a whole flora race that was like, you have killed so many of our basil brethren to make your pesto sauce?
You know, it's funny because there is a flora race in this game, and I was on their side and tried to wipe out the Dwagers.
What if they knew? I don't think you're allowed to say that. Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. They're
what
dark
if they
dwarves.
knew about you? They're what?
They're dark dwarves.
They're dark.
They live in the Underdark, and they basically have really dark skin, and they can see in the dark because they mine and stuff like that. And they're also really bad. They're really bad creatures. Also, nuke the shit out of them.
Yeah, it sounds like you're playing God, Doug.
You know why? You know why? Because they captured the deep gnomes, enslaved them, worked them until they died, and then threw their bodies in the river.
Bastards.
Yeah, thank you. Bastards. Can we try that again with a little more emotion? All right, let's take it back to one. So they capture the deep gnomes. They capture them, they make them slaves, they work them until they die, then they throw their bodies in the river.
You bastards!
All right, we'll take it.
All right.
Know. Cut it. We're moving on. We're moving on. We got it. Well, that's what's cool is like you can befriend them if you want. You know? It's like, how do you want to play it?
You can befriend the bad people, is what you're saying.
However you want.
And you can enjoy them.
Because you can play a character that's like, you know,
you skillfully
cool with that.
You skillfully spun yourself away from did the Flora race ever find out about your love of pesto? And if they did, would they not consider what you did genocide?
It depends, because some of those flora are living creatures. Basil's not a living creature, Justin.
Yeah, but it's still of their world. I'm sorry, you're saying plants aren't alive?
They're not sentient.
These are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
maybe one of their distant relatives is a basil plant. Have you met all the plants in this world?
They asked me to go bring them the head of a drow elf.
Okay. That's another. I was going to,
but I used Eldritch Blast, which had Repellent Blast on it, knocked the guy into the lava. I couldn't get his head, but he's dead.
Well, how do you prove that to them? Did they just took your word for it?
I didn't get to complete the quest in its entirety because I couldn't get the head. But I was like,
you're still not answering this basil question. I don't like how you're spinning it.
He's a real tough guy, and I was like, Eldritch Blast, and went kaboom, and he flew into the lava, and I was like, nice, problem solved. Yeah, basil's not real.
That's what we've come away with. Basil's not real. All right.
Basil's not real.
Hey, it's your game.
Thank you for acknowledging that. It's my game. Anyway, Baldur's Gate 3, it's cool. Check it out. So we did have this one on the list, but I've heard about this a couple times now, and I want to bring it up. So this is a bit of an audible. Apparently, there's like a renewed, like, earnest interest in searching for the Loch Ness Monster.
Wait, seriously?
Yes.
Oh, I'm into this. Yeah, you didn't put this on the list, and I'm up for it.
It says, with drones and webcams, volunteer hunters join a new search for the mythical Loch Ness Monster.
Oh, what not a waste of time.
Right? Yeah, it got to the point where people were like, yeah, no more volunteers. We got all the losers we need to do
too many drones in the sky. We're fucking running into each other.
Yeah. I imagine it's like a scene from Jaws when a bunch of those amateur fishermen are trying to, they're in the water just throwing in dynamite and shit, trying to find the shark. They're like, we're going to find him. What are you doing? He's chumming. What's chumming? He's throwing blood in the water. It's just trying to find the Loch Ness Monster.
So what does it? Any articles say what renewed this interest?
It says the Loch Ness Center said researchers would try to seek evidence of Nessie using thermal imaging drones, infrared cameras, and a hydrophone to detect underwater sounds in the lake's murky waters. The 2-day event is being billed as the biggest survey of the lake in 50 years. It includes volunteers scanning the water from boats and the lakeshore, with others around the world joining in with webcams. Alan McKenna of the Loch Ness Center said the aim was to inspire a new generation of Loch Ness enthusiasts. Thanks, McKenna. Thank you.
I'm looking up here. What is Loch Ness compared to other water bodies?
I think it's like maybe one of the deepest lakes. It's pretty incredible.
It can't be. It's only it's 22 miles. Now 22 miles squared?
Uh-oh, we're throwing in squares.
Oh,
Justin
man.
only works with circles and triangles.
I don't.
He doesn't do squares. My kryptonite, squares!
Let's see. Other bodies of water. Lake Tahoe. Lake Tahoe is 8.84 times as big as Loch Ness.
All right.
Right. So, I know it's not the biggest. I think my point is this. For all the people who were over there, when I was a kid, I loved this. I loved this myth. I loved the idea that this was true, and I bought into it for a little while when I was a kid. Then I realized after all these years, there's only so many places. It's not the ocean. There's only so many places this thing could be, and I think we've searched it all. So for these adults to be over there doing this, I want to know what goes through their fucking heads.
They want it to be true.
Is it? Yeah, but is it more just they need the camaraderie? Like, are these just lonely folk? And there's no judgment on that. Like, is this just people who are looking for a community? Because if so, you can join the Mind Gap community on Discord.
That's right. Link is
Come
in the
on over
description
here
down below.
Yeah.
But
for real,
this
this has to just be them just like, I don't know.
It's just people want to believe, ever since that
sure.
photo came out and, it was debunked. But before it was debunked.
In 1497.
1933, Justin.
Tomato.
Yeah. And, back in a time, where all that shit couldn't be explained. And it created this thing of like, imagine growing up over by Loch Ness and just hearing from everyone like, oh yeah, there's something that lives in the lake. Guess what? You're going to look and you're going to find something in the lake. You're going to find something.
If I grew up around it as a kid, I'd have been there every fucking weekend looking for that thing.
Yeah, that's just Nessie.
Yep,
they're over there.
Absolutely.
It's like, okay, if you say so. I love this quote. Not every ripple or wave is a beastie. Some of those can be explained, but there are a handful that cannot. That's what he said.
Can I just, real quick? Well done.
Oh, thank you.
Well done. You tapped into your heritage.
Yeah.
Your ancestors would be proud.
Yeah, right? There's some words where I'm like, I also just watched Braveheart recently, so, I'm just in the mode. But, when I saw not every ripple or wave is a beastie, I was like, oh, that's beastie? Not every ripple or wave is a beastie. Some of those can be explained, but there are a handful that cannot.
That's just driftwood.
I like to isolate that audio, just have it randomly. It's like, that's just driftwood. When would I use it? I don't fucking know. It's a quote out of context. You know what I mean? That's just driftwood. Now, listen, we've talked about this stuff before. I would love nothing more than to have this thing be real, because how cool would it be after all these? I would love for Bigfoot to be real. That'd be amazing. Like this ancient creature, it's there, it's real. Yeah. We can prove it. Like, it's great. It's awesome. It's just one of those things where, I look at this from Practical Doug standpoint, and what are the odds that this creature exists?
That's what I'm saying. The lake's only so big. The Ness is only so big.
It's only so big, and
the loch. It's not a Ness. Loch Ness.
And there's got to be some awful inbreeding happening, because there's obviously not that many of them. So
what Nessies?
Like Nessies, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like how old can they really live to be? Like, I mean, come on. Like, it's highly unlikely. But, you know, is it fun? Absolutely. You know, have fun.
Oh, God, it's a blast.
Whatever.
I just like to assume that there is so much traffic, air traffic now. There's just, I in my head, I picture hundreds of drones all just running into each other and falling in the water.
Yeah.
And people in boats going to retrieve them. And then there's footage. As soon as it hit the water, you saw it. As soon as it hit the water, there was a flash of something that went right by the camera before the DJI shorted out.
Yeah, it's always something. Again, you'll see what you want to see with that sort of stuff. I remember years ago, I think this is when I lost my faith in like just cable stuff. Like if something on TNT or some bullshit, it was just like, they're going to the Loch Ness, and they're gonna see what they can find. And I watched this whole hour-long special,
documentaries,
you know, where they're talking about all the sorts about what it could be, how long it could be, and they're like, you know, they do the classic, and then we put some sonar down there, and it's like, oh, I'm picking up something. It's like, and they cut to commercial, you know, and
right, right before they cut to commercial, it's this heightened thing.
Yeah.
Did you see that?
It's just like, I think I'm picking up something, and then dun 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 dun. Whew.
Tide Pods.
That's why I was gonna go Tide as well for some reason. It's just like Arby's, we've got the meats. You know, just.
You ever wonder what Nessie tastes like?
Yeah,
we've
right?
got the Ness.
And then it comes back, and it's like, I don't know, man. It was something. I don't know what it was, but it was something, and that's how it ended. I'm like, that's what this show was? What a waste of fucking time. You know?
Thanks,
like,
Nat
God.
Geo.
Ugh, it's brutal, man. Just, you know, it feeds into it. So, hey, listen, I hope you all find something.
Yeah.
I'm rooting for anybody. I'm rooting for paranormal explorers. I'm rooting for the squatchers out there. I'm rooting for you. I'm rooting
find it. I'm in. I'm all in.
I'm all for it. I'm just a skeptic. I'm not an asshole about it, except for ghosts. And, you know, I'm rooting for you, man. Like, I hope you find something. And if you do, and it's proven, I'll be the first one to celebrate you, you know?
Oh, sure,
I'll be like, way to go, you did it, you believed, and I didn't, and you deserve this win. This one's for you. I'm all for it. That's so super cool. Yeah. But until that happens, man.
There's a funny thing psychologically, though, because as much as I know that the Loch Ness Monster doesn't exist, I don't know that I would ever go swimming in that. Just because of the deep psychological... Just because the lore is so heightened about it that I don't know if I could shut that part of my brain off of like something goes by your foot and you're like, what?
Dude, that's also
it's the weirdest thing.
It's a lake. It's a dark ass lake. And it's a deep ass lake. Like it's just
no, it's a loch.
It's a loch. It's a loch. Oi, it's a loch.
It's a loch.
It's a loch. Now here's a better question. Would you scuba dive in there?
Oh man, see that's the thing. I don't know. It's the same reason. It's the same part in my brain that at 40 years old, when I still go into a dark basement, the hair on the back of my neck stands up.
Yeah.
I don't stop. Like I walk straight in and I do what I got to do. Yeah. But I can't. It's just a reflexive thing. Is like the hair on the back of my neck always, every single time it stands up. Anytime I walk into kind of a dark, secluded area, even if it's in my own home. You know, it's the other night Beth had asked, we have a utility room in our basement. So as you go down the stairs to the basement, the utility room door is right there. And that's where we have our exercise stuff and, you know, vacuum, and we access it quite frequently, but we typically keep that door closed. We were out, we took the dogs out, we came back. The door in the back was locked, but the utility door was open. And Beth was going to go downstairs. And she's like, "Did you open the utility door before we left?" And I said, "No." And she goes, I said, "Well, you worked out in there." And she goes, "Yeah, but I'm fairly certain I closed it." And I went, "Okay." So I grabbed a flashlight and I went down and, you know, flashlight on until I could reach all the, you know, switches and everything. Walked right through. But the entire time, like, I knew no one was down there, but the entire time I couldn't switch that part of my brain off that said, you're going to be attacked by something, and it's probably a monster.
You know why it was open, right?
Was it ghosts?
No.
Oh.
I think you mean squirrels. But the reason why is that Beth worked out down there, and while she was down there, and she's like, I can't close the door. It'll stay down here. So she's like, I'll just leave it open and then pretend.
Carefully crafted.
And then just pretend like, whoa, it's open. Oh my God. Did you smell anything while you're down there? Was it smell spooky? Was it a spooky smell?
It smells like ghosts to me.
It's ghost. It smells like ghosts.
You smell the sulfur? Yeah.
Oh my God, it's the devil. The devil's been down here,
The devil's been for whatever reason.
I'm hearing him now. Oh my God.
Oh, spirit. Did you ever see the SNL sketch with Hugh Laurie when he was doing the Ghost Hunters? I think it was
probably not.
It was the era of like Jason Sudeikis and Kristen Wiig and Fred Armisen.
Gotcha. I don't think I ever saw that.
I'm gonna send it to you. You've gotta. We might even put it. I'll throw it up on the Discord. Actually,
yeah.
I'll make a commitment to go in there. It is
nice.
It is everything that you would want out of a ghost skit on SNL from the era when it was fantastic.
Oh, that's so good.
And it deals with farts too, so that's why that was the correlation.
I figured. It's funny how there's certain situations where like there's certain scenarios with Natalie where I'm like, I don't want to do this, but I have to show her that I'm an adult, and then I have to like. This is a simple one, but we were watching one of her friends' moms like had like these caterpillars, and they feed them, they take care of them, and ultimately like they turn into butterflies, and they were going on vacation. So they gave us like 12 of them, and they gave us this thing, and there was like all these things, and the first one hatches, and we gotta let it out, and no one wants to put their hand in there to like to have it like crawl on, and I absolutely didn't want to do it. I was like, really? Oh wait, Jill's got this, and Natalie's like, ugh, I don't want to. I'm like, well, how are we gonna get it out? They tried to put a stick in there, it's not working. I just I have to do this, and I just go in and I do it, and it was no big deal. But I was like, I don't want this fucking thing crawling on me. Like, I don't know how it's gonna feel, and I did it. I did the first one, I let it out, and then Natalie was like, I want to do it. And then from that point on, she handled it from there. But in that moment, I was like, I have to step up. I have to step up. I got to
set the example.
I got to set the example. Or there's like social situations where normally I would just like hang back and not say something. Yeah. But now that Natalie's here, I'm like, no. Like, I'll take the hit. I'll take the hit of like socially just someone ignoring me or whatever. I'm like, you can't ignore her. Right. That's my kid. Like, you can't be like that to her. No, not at all. Like, I gotta show her. Like, I'm not saying that I'm gonna go pick a fight with somebody, but I'm gonna be like, I gotta show her like when it's right to speak up and when it's not, and things like that. So it's interesting how I was listening to a podcast with Roy Wood Jr. how he's talking about that, being a father and not having a strong father figure in his life. He's like, oh shit, this is a moment where I have to step up and lead for my son to show him this is how things are supposed to go. And I'm like, I kind of identify with that, where there's times where I get worried, or I'll hear a scenario and I'm like, sure is glad I don't have to deal with that right now, because I don't even want to think about what I would have to do. I'd have to make a Baldur's Gate 3 choice. And I don't want to do that. You know what I mean? I hear stories about that. I remember there was like being in corporate America and hearing like someone goes, this is a scenario. I'm like, glad you're the manager, not me. 'Cause I don't want to make that fucking call.
Right.
At all. No way. No how. No thank you. Hard pass. Mm-mm.
Is there any scenario that you've gone through with Natalie that has I'm trying to think how to ask, like, any scenarios where you still get like, okay, so I sent Drew, I don't know if I sent it to you a while ago, but I sent Drew, there's this Instagram reel of someone, there was a kid standing in the doorway and the mom was filming him, and he kept looking into his room and he was like waving, and she's like, who are you waving to? And he was like waving and he was like giggling, and he said something like Papa or referencing Grandpa, and like mom's like, Grandpa's not here. And he kept waving, and she went in the room and there was nothing in the room. Like, she moved the camera out. She finally got up and went in the room and this and that. And it was just unnecessarily creepy. Kids do creepy shit. And I asked Drew, and he's like, oh yeah, Max has had me freaked out before, because he'll be out in the yard just talking away or laughing. It's like playing with someone, and it's very unsettling. Like, has any situation occurred with Natalie where you're just like, I don't believe in ghosts, but fuck, man, this is making me very uneasy right now. 'Cause I feel like it comes up around kids more than not.
Well, it's because kids are stupid.
Well, yeah, it goes without saying.
Yeah, they're dumb.
Yeah.
And they don't, I mean, Natalie talks while she plays with toys all the time. And she has most of her time. I never put a whole lot of stock in anything Natalie ever says.
But nothing's unnerved you or anything.
No, nothing's
Really?
ever unnerved me. Yeah,
Just
she's never been like,
all right.
you know, Chris Cochran, oh, you're a bitch.
I feel like that,
hey,
that would,
nice.
that's informationally founded, though.
Hey, I try to keep it cool. I try to keep it kosher.
We follow the empirical evidence, and
yeah, the other day I was just like, she's like, you know what? She's a real butthead. I'm like, listen, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. I'm like, what can I say? I try to be diplomatic about it, but I'm like, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. You know, she's just
same as the middle finger thing. The instincts are there, but just pull it back for a few more years. If anything,
I have to be really careful about what we say around her now, because she don't think she's listening. She's fucking listening. She pops up and she's like, what's that? I'm like, God damn it. I missed the days where we could just talk and you had no idea what was going on. And now you're all over it. I'm like,
stop showing a genuine interest in us.
It's like, God, we'll say something and she'll be like, who are you talking about? I'm like, shut up. Because we have to explain to her, I'm like, there's some things you keep here in the house.
Just shut up.
Just shut up. Some things we do here, we say here, but you can't just go out. We were riding our bikes the other day, and there's this house that has like giant bushes that like cover up a significant part of the sidewalk. And I'm like, these bushes. She goes, yeah, they should really trim these bushes. And I'm like, Natalie, stop. No, like, don't do that. Like, and she doesn't know any better, but we have to pull her aside. I go, hey, listen, what you said is not wrong, but what if someone was standing there and you just shout that? I was like, that's really rude. Like, those are our inside voices. We don't need to shout that out. Like,
right. Inside voices and inside thoughts.
Yes. Like, we don't have to say, why don't they cut these bushes? I'm like, just fucking quit. Like, I ask the same question in my mind every time we come by here. This is absurd, but we got to deal with it. All right. We just got to deal with it.
Maybe she's teaching you a lesson, Doug, in that just speak your mind freely and see what happens.
Yeah.
Live with no regard.
Plenty of people do that as is on the internet. I don't think we need any more of that in this world. We're good. We're good with that. Yeah. No, thank you. No, I've never had a moment where Natalie was like looking off in the distance or whatever. And if she was, I'd be like, what the fuck are you looking at? You know, I'd be like, nothing would really, I don't think, listen, I would love some sort of ghost encounter. You know what I mean? Like, I would love to have something happen where I'd be like, all right, cool, or have something like that. And I'm the kind of guy that, like, I have to experience it to believe this shit, you know?
Were you, when you were a kid, were you ever scared? Like, for me, like, I was afraid of the dark when I was younger.
Of course.
And there's a sliver of that remains. That's what I was talking about, like, that hair. Now I'll walk into the room, you know, confidently, but the hair on the back of my neck will just involuntarily stand up. Like, it's just like I just have that weird concern that's still rooted somewhere deep in my brain. Has anything like that followed you through, or from when you were a kid, or have you just brass balls just tamped all that down?
There's terrifying moments, absolutely. The dark is always something that's terrifying. I think it's just a primal thing in us. Two examples of that, both while on two different vacations. One, when we went up to New Buffalo a couple years ago, we stayed at this place that just like, it was on the edge of the woods. You know, it was a cool area. And when it got fucking dark, there's no lights out there,
and
man.
that tree line is just a row of black. Like, as soon as
and we're like, I've seen deer go through there and stuff like that and whatever, and I'm out there with the dog. And the worst is when I'm with Loki and she just stops and stares in the darkness. I'm like,
See, fuck kids. When animals react, you're just like, okay, something's there.
Yes. And most recently, we went to Lake Geneva, and we stayed in this great little neighborhood area. But it was relatively wooded and stuff like that. It was like a grid of stuff like that, but it was pretty nature-like. And I would walk down this hill, and it got to a point where the houses just stop having lights on outside, and you just go to the stop sign, and I know if I go 3 more blocks down, the lake's going to be down there. There's other houses, but I just stare down the hill. It is darkness. Absolute pitch black, nothing.
Yep.
And every night I was like, I wonder if I could, because I get up in the morning and walk. I'm like, it's just, it goes straight down, and light and
you
everything.
See
like,
it, and you
I was
mentally
like,
you
can
know.
make it. I was like, tonight when I take Loki to go pee, we're going to go down there. And I get to the stop sign, and I'm like, why the fuck would I even want to do this? To what end? What's
just to
the
prove
point?
To yourself.
What's the point?
Yeah.
Oh, I did it. And I was like, I can't see shit. Like, why would I do that? Staring off into the darkness as a human being accesses some
Yes.
just Neanderthal thing of like, I don't know what's there. This is danger. And then that's where everything is amplified. You hear a sound.
Oh, yeah,
you hear a twig snap. You hear some sort of something, and you're like, oh my God. And your brain just goes, here's a list of things it could be. Real or otherwise.
Exactly,
you know?
yeah. Well, because then, at least for me, I don't know if you're the same way, but then my brain accesses every horror movie I have ever seen. And then I can't stop myself from going, what if a pair of red eyes just appeared, you know? Yeah. And then you just start, now you're like, and then you're thinking out of the realm of possibility, but for some, psychologically, you can't turn that off.
Yeah.
You just keep thinking, you're like, well, a monster. And you're like, that's stupid. But what if? What if this is what if I find it?
Yeah, exactly. Well, and Natalie comes out, you know, and I'm like, hey, check out all the stars. And I'm walking around. She's like, I'm really scared. I'm like, what are you scared of? You know, as I'm like, also like, don't look down that road because you're literally staring into the abyss. So don't look down there. But I'm like, what are you scared of? She goes, I'm scared of wolves. I'm like, there's no wolves here. In the back of my mind, I'm like, is there? Wolves?
You should hear that in the back.
I go, coyotes, I would believe, but I was like, wolves? I was like, nah, there's no way there's wolves around here. There's way too many people. Like, but I was like, yeah, we saw deer, you know, and things. And where there's deer, there's going to be predators, you know, for sure.
Yeah.
So, but I'm like, I don't know. I don't see that stuff. So, personally, I mean, growing up, like, I had a basement that was so terrifying every time I would leave there. And that's, the shower was down there. So I'd have to go down and shower. And then I'm like, I'm going to turn off the light, run up the stairs as fast as you can.
Try to beat it.
Trying to beat it, you know, it was absolutely horrible. You know, but as an adult, I mean, the things that scare me are just like, you know, taxes and, you know,
right.
Solvency.
Is the IRS gonna come after me this year? Yeah.
Did I do the taxes right this
time? Right, exactly.
Or whatever. You know, like a lot of those, and that's what I think is so great about the story in the movie. It is, you know, the Pennywise in that movie preys on children because their fear is much more profound than adults.
Sure.
Pennywise will eat adults, but he prefers children because their fear is so much easier to manipulate than adults, because adults are jaded from the real world. They're like, their Sunday scaries are like, fuck, I gotta go to work tomorrow. No, I procrastinate on this project. I just sit through an hour and a half of an ENIPS presentation, and now I'm dead inside, you know?
It took me a second to realize what you were referencing there. I thought it was like, is that like a digital sexual harassment? ENIPS?
Yeah. ENPS scores, baby.
Baby. No, I think for adults, what it is for me is, and again, like, there's a part of your brain that switches over to like, ooh, a monster, red eyes, or some weird fucking, 12-foot goat-looking thing is going to come after. But once you tamp that down, the actual fear of the dark for me is as a kid, that is what your brain preys on, is that fear of the supernatural and the unknown. As an adult, you realize that there are horrific people in the world, and murders happen everywhere, every day. And I think that's what's more so when I, like, if out taking a walk at night, that's what I get worried about in the dark, is I'm just like, someone could just attack me. I don't know who's waiting out here, that dark road leading down to the lake. Who knows who's waiting there tonight?
Yeah.
I think it's more so as adults, you become more jaded, but you also realize the true horrors that are out there.
I mean, part of my fear was like, because it's a pretty steep decline. I was like, what if I blow out my knee?
There it is.
And I'll have this fear of being stupid. I'm like, just laying in the dark. I'm like, help! I blew out my knee.
Ow! My back hurts. My
my patellar tendon. Oh my God!
My plantar fasciitis flared up.
Oh my God! It hurts so bad. Or it's just like, I'll be honest with you, and this is a little dark, like legit dark, but like. Couple of times I had to pull into someone's driveway to turn around. I'm like, is this going to be one of those situations where someone pulls out a gun and shoots at me? Like,
right. You don't know. Right. That's
I
what I'm
never
saying.
enjoyed doing that before people started shooting at people.
Right.
I was like, oh God. I tried to do it as quickly as possible. I'm like, get in and get out of here.
Yeah.
Because I didn't want, my mom used to joke that maybe someone comes running out. They're like, oh, they're here. They've got like a casserole and they're like, hey, you're not them. Like this.
Yeah.
Idea that, but also it's much more common to be like, oh, I just got to turn around this person's driveway, whatever, and get out, and no big deal. But nowadays I'm like, hope this is a cool person because I don't mean you any harm,
Yeah. Well, we again, just invading that personal space as you older you get. As we're this Friday, I printed out some flyers and we're gonna do a block. Kind of like a block party, a hot dog block party. So we're going to open up our backyard just to meet our block and our neighbors. So I printed out a bunch of flyers that was inviting people this Friday to our house. And I realized I had to go door to door and I didn't want to, it's funny, I didn't want to interact with people, even though I'm inviting them to our house. So I was like, I'm going to put them in the mailbox. There's something so unnerving about walking up someone's front, stepping up onto the porch, getting right face to face with their home where their door is, lifting that mailbox and it's something real weird and intimate. And I had this concern that someone was going to yell at me for being up there. And very innocently just giving them a flyer for a fun afternoon, and hospitality awaits you. But there is something, again, you realize the older you get, you're like, oh, this is I'm on that borderline. If I didn't have this flyer in my hand, this is a breach of personal space that I'm experiencing.
I'll be honest with you. If I didn't know you and you just were walking up, I'd be like, what the fuck does this guy want? I'd be so aggressive.
Would you?
Because there is, of all the people that have just wandered up to my front door, most of them have been shitheads. Like most of them. Yeah. Now, to be fair, most of them don't ring the doorbell or anything like that. They will just leave some sort of bullshit at the door. But some people will knock or ring the doorbell. Yeah. And then it's never anything good. It's
God, no, yeah.
Something
I didn't realize
ridiculous.
that until I bought a house. Like, as an apartment owner, and you've had a few years jump on me with that, with dealing with that. That's I now I understand why people have no solicitation signs, because some of the people we've gotten to our front door, I'm like, who? Go away. Who are you? Why are you? What are you even selling?
The literal door-to-door sales stuff. I can't believe it still exists to this day.
Because
it's all. Mind. It's the most bizarre things. It'll be, hey, you're siding. We do siding. I'm like, I didn't ask you to come by and look at my siding.
Right.
It's there. I think it's fine. Get fucked. Just the amount of bullshit that people will come up with, like talking about lawn or pest stuff. I'm like, go away. If I wanted your services, I know how to fucking find you. I can use the goddamn internet. Get fucked, I don't need this shit.
ADT, so we have EPS. It's a local security system. We inherited it from the previous owners, so we just reactivated it and we got it. And we had ADT come up to our door to door, and they're like, "Hey, I noticed you have a EPS sign in your front lawn." And I said, "Yeah." I said, "We any reason you went with them?" And I went, "It was installed. Like, I just had to call and switch it over to our name and this, that, the other thing. It was easy." And like, oh, okay. So, well, let me explain to you why a lot of people prefer ADT. I'm like, I said, I'm good. I said, I'm locked into a contract. Well, we won't lock you into that long of a contract. I'm like, that's great. I'm currently in I don't know what you're not hearing about me. I got a 3-year contract with these people.
It's called rebuttals, baby.
Oh, man.
It's called the sales process.
It was just, well, can I ask, so what individual products do you have around your house? I'm like, well, first off, I'm not going into that with you. I'm not going to give you a map of my. I understand you have ADT on your shirt. I could do that too.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah. I was like, this. We're done here.
Yeah.
What's the coldest you've been to someone that's door to door?
I had guys.
What's the harshest you've stopped them?
They start out. They were these guys doing something about the house. and they're saying something like they could come by or whatever. And Jill was like kind of handling it at the time.
Yeah.
She was at the front door, and she kept telling them no.
Yeah.
And they kept pushing it, and I was like, I don't want to play this card, but I'm going to play this card.
The 6-3 card?
Yeah. Like, I was kind of like hanging in the back listening because I was doing something with dinner, and I was like, all right, this is going on too long. And Jill was already hitting her crescendo, too.
You could hear it.
And she basically was like, hey, we have a no soliciting sign. And I just came up from behind her. I go, hey, guys, she said no. Fucking move along. You know? Yeah. I was like, we're done here. All right. Yeah. Take no and get the hell out of here. Like, I don't, and because if anything, I'm like, my passive aggressive thing to do is like, do you have a card?
Oh, sure. I'll contact you.
I was like, give me your card. And I take it and I go, great. Now I know who never to call.
Oh, you'll do that.
Whenever I want this service because you have annoyed me. So thank you. I'm going to put this with my other collection of things. Do
you actually say that to them?
I've done it once.
That's amazing.
Where I was like, can I have your card? They get all excited.
Amazing.
I'm like, great. Now I'm never going to use your service because you have invaded my space.
Yeah.
If I want this, I am smart enough to figure out how to find what I need. I don't need you coming by my house to offer me your wares.
Right.
I didn't call you. Get off my property.
Get off my lawn.
You ignored the no soliciting sign.
Absolutely.
Just get fucked. Like, get out of here. Like, you've made yourself well known that I'll never use you. Simple as that. Same people who like will put a little flyer in a goddamn bag with a rock and leave it in your driveway so that it doesn't blow away or some shit, And I'm like, oh great.
I haven't had that yet.
Let's put this in the file of people I will never contact, because I don't want your shit,
Oh man,
I'm getting so fucking sweaty right now just thinking about that, how much it irritates me. Because I don't like unsolicited stuff.
Yeah, I dig it. Yeah.
I understand there was a time where the internet didn't exist, and this was a viable way to get people to understand that this product exists.
This was marketing.
It's marketing. Nowadays, I find it to be incredibly intrusive.
Agreed.
And whenever I see someone on a fucking Segway in my neighborhood, I'm like, because they always ride Segways. They're just buzzing around. I was walking the other day. I saw like a bunch of 4 white ladies. I think it's important to say they were white because that made me very suspicious. They were dressed too nice. And they had like satchels with stuff. I was like, what the fuck? And they weren't over by my house yet, but I'm like, I don't know what you all are up to, but don't come over by my street because I don't want to hear it.
You're all suspect. I don't like this.
I was like, I don't want to hear it. I don't want anything to do with it.
Yeah.
Although, to be fair, recently, in recent, like I'd say several months, it's been I haven't had someone knock or ring the doorbell in a long time.
Yeah.
And now that I have my security system, I can see who's at the door. I'm just like, oh yeah, I'm not answering that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I just fucking ignore him. But I was like, you won't get my time.
Yeah.
No, sir. You're just going to drive my dog crazy, but you're not going to get my time.
There was, we were in Mexico, there was someone that came up, and my father-in-law, God bless him, he was very, very kind to this person. I don't know if I would have had this level of patience, but they actually got a refill on their water from him. They got, like, I think, they really like kept him talking and we're like, it's just really hot out here. Like, do you think you could refill this for me? And do you think, and I think the goal was to get closer and closer to coming inside. Mm-hmm. And he finally got him to go away. But I was like, the minute they asked that, I'd have been like, absolutely not.
Were they selling stuff?
Yeah, they were. I don't know what it was for. I don't have the full details, but I'm like, man, that's a bold move to really start asking for things. I'm like, I don't know about that.
Yeah, the whole sales process, I understand it's a psychological thing, and I understand that it's a necessary evil.
Keep people talking, eventually, like 9 out of 10 people will flip, and you'll get a little bit further with them, and yeah.
I've been helping with building some sales training in my job recently, and just getting an insight into the stuff, and the whole time I'm like, gross. This is all just
This is why
gross.
I will never be a salesperson.
This is so disgusting because I'm like, if you want this, come find me. Like I'm not here to. And people say, hey man, you're selling people all the time, every day. You're making a sale. I'm like, yeah, you're negotiating all the time. I understand. I'm lawful good. I will always make the good choice in Baldur's Gate 3. I can't do this. And I don't want to endure it. I don't want to endure a sales pitch. I fucking hate it. I can't stand it. It's the worst because it's the same thing with negotiating. It's a dance that we all know we're dancing. We all know we're doing it.
Yeah,
we all know
absolutely.
we're doing the fucking, Macarena, but we're not calling out the fact that we're doing the Macarena. We're pretending that we're not, you know? And that's what I hate. Is I'm like, can we just cut through the bullshit? Like, what do you want? Here's what I want. Can we find a way to make this happen? Let's not do the whole, well, you got to anchor high, so that you can be your own discount hero. So that, you're like, you know what? I'll give you 10% down. Right. How about that? So I can make you feel like you won, but I've already marked it up so high that it doesn't even fucking matter.
That's why I get the biggest anxiety going to the car lot. Like anytime we've had to buy, like I can't fucking stand. Because every time I walk in automatically assuming I'm getting bent over and just railed.
Yeah.
And there's nothing I can do. Yeah.
I was like, I want to negotiate. I want to check this out. Get this are the prices. Got it. Because we went in for our van. I will never go back. That was the worst experience.
To an actual dealer?
Yeah. We went to a dealer, a Honda dealer. It was the fucking worst. It was so bad. It was brutal. I don't enjoy the experience. They were wearing us down.
Yeah.
They took forever on purpose because they want us just to, everything about it was sleazy and I hated it. So it was just like, I'm like, I don't want to do this dance.
Yeah.
Like, I just don't want to do it. People are like, well, you can learn how to negotiate. I don't want to fucking do that.
Right.
All right. I want to go buy something.
We had a good, we had a pleasant experience, I will say, when we bought our Subaru. But I still, even though we had a great experience, everyone was super kind and it was pretty straightforward. I still felt like we were getting dicked over. I'm like,
because then you go over to the financing department where they tried to upsell you on the warranties,
right,
and everything like that. And I'm just like, and the guy we had too was also extremely rude to his coworkers. Like, just someone called. He's like, some of us are actually dealing with customers right now, and hangs up the phone. He's like, anyway, let me tell you about this extended warranty. And I'm like, I don't like you at all. Like,
right.
If that's how you're going to treat people like that you work with, like that's crazy.
Yeah. It's, what? It's when you're making sales, that's not a practical approach to deal with your colleagues in front of clients like that. It's just not practical. You gotta have a level head. You gotta show them that you're a nice person and that you can be dealt with, and that is the practical approach. So I'm sure Practical Doug was just fucking screaming.
You know it.
Yes.
You got the questions, we got the answers. All you do is ask. Practical. Ask Practical Doug.
That was a solid effort.
I almost timed that perfectly.
That was a solid effort. Yeah. How long is that scream?
I don't know. We'll never.
You don't have it. Okay. The Ask Practical Doug is 19.3 seconds.
Yeah, I got it.
So if you figure that out, we can back.
We said Practical Doug was screaming. I'm like, oh, I gotta scream. I gotta scream, baby.
If you've never been here for Ask Practical Doug, it's a segment that we absolutely love doing because Practical Doug is a tiny Doug that lives inside of Big Doug, and he guides Big Doug on all of life's journeys through all of life's mysteries, questions, quagmires, and quandaries. So if you want to ask Practical Doug a question, you can on any social media at @MindGapPodcast, #AskPracticalDoug, or you can join our Discord. There's an actual Ask Practical Doug channel. You can jump on there. You can throw it in. You might have a wonderful conversation on Discord with Practical Doug. And if you're very lucky, if you ask a real good question, we might actually yank that and use it on the show during a segment. There is something that we've been doing recently that has proved very fruitful. It's the subreddit Am I the Asshole? And today we have a fun one asked by Sure Internal 2169. They ask, am I the asshole for avoiding running with my neighbors? I use fake names for obvious reasons. So I, 29-year-old male, am an avid runner and value my daily jog or jog, it might be a soft J, as a time for relaxation and exercise. My neighbors, John, 32, male, and Sarah, 31, female, have recently taken an interest in running too and have started inviting me to join them on their runs. And at first, I was excited about the idea of running with my neighbors, and I thought it'd be a very great way to become better friends. However, things took a weird turn as I noticed an awkward recurring behavior. During our runs, John and Sarah would intentionally run ahead of me and proceed to pass gas, or as I call it, as everyone calls it, crop dusting. Look, let's not give yourself too much credit. You didn't coin the fucking phrase. I have clearly
defined crop dusting.
You are the asshole. Now, the first time this happened, I thought it was just a little joke, but it has happened every single time we've run since. Despite my discomfort, they find it hilarious, and they continue to do it. So confronting them feels a little awkward. In addition to the fact that the two of them do it and then never bring it up again, it makes it really weird. I'm not sure if it's an inside joke between them or what. Faced with this unpleasant situation, I decided to avoid running with them altogether. When they asked me to join them, I would come up with excuses or pretend to have already planned my run. I did not want to confront them about their behavior because I feared it might lead to awkwardness or even strain in our neighborly relationship. They wouldn't be coming to his hot dog cookouts. But I cannot handle this awful smell. I've confided in other neighbors, and they claim it's happened to them too. When they brought it up to John and Sarah, they played it off as a joke and dismissed it. John and Sarah have been asking to run together more lately, and I'm using more bizarre excuses. I cannot run when being crop dusted. So Reddit, am I the asshole?
I'll say this guy is an asshole for the reason of he's an asshole for not telling them, no, I won't run with you because you keep farting in my face while we run.
I'm not a fan of this joke that this is.
Yeah. Just to be like, hey, listen, I want to run with you guys. I don't enjoy this thing that you're doing.
Yeah.
I find it disgusting. It's not fun for me. So, yeah, I'm going to pass gas on, running with you. I don't enjoy that. I'll Thank you. But I mean, I'd say that's the only reason that makes him an asshole. He's not an asshole for not wanting to run with them.
No.
If you don't enjoy being around someone because they're doing something annoying, I see 29-year-old Doug in this guy.
Do you?
Where he's just like, I don't know what to say. I mean, at 29, I was still at the fucking hotel getting beaten down in customer service and that world of awfulness. So yeah, I can understand being like, I don't know how to approach this. I could just be like, hey, listen, I would love to run with you guys and get to know you. I think this is a great way for me to run. It's motivating and things like that. I just don't appreciate it when you guys run in front and you fart in front of me and you laugh about it. I don't find it funny, and I'd find it enjoyable. It's disruptive to me while I'm exercising, so I'm not going to run with you guys if you keep doing this. So simple as that. But hey, I don't hate you. I just don't want to run with you. So simple as that,
I will say it is, at first, having been an avid runner for a while before the old knees started giving me the old troubles, the idea of running with people is wonderful. I tried to start when we lived downtown. I tried to start an 11:30 running club. Management office actually put it up. They put it in the newsletters and this and that. And it was great for the first few weeks. And then I was like, man, I miss my alone time when I run. Like, unless you're running super long distances, like if you're running 10 plus miles, if you're training for something, it very much helps to have someone to talk to. But if you're just going out for your, 3 to 5, maybe 6 mile run, have that time for yourself. It's the honeymoon period ends very quickly. It's much nicer too. So I think what's happening here is he's just realizing it's better to run alone.
Yeah. I enjoy going on walks with Jill. But I also if I have a good day for me is I get 2 walks in as well as going to the gym. That's a good day. And my first one's always with just me and the dog. So I always get one by myself. And then I like walking with Jill later in the day because it gives us opportunities to chat, catch up on things and whatever. And it's much more fun to walk and talk with her. And just yesterday I was letting the hot toots out my butt almost the whole walk, you know? So, but I wasn't crop dusting Jill. Some of them, it was a hot day, and some of them, it's just naturally hot day and gas don't go well together. Some of them caught up with us.
Hung in the air there.
But she's also like, what the hell's wrong with you? And I was like, you know what this is, You knew
what you signed up for.
I was like, listen, this is why we go on walks, to get them out. I go, I can't explain what's happening right now. I don't like it either, but it is
believe
what
me,
it is.
I'd much prefer not to be doing this. It's quite uncomfortable.
But I wasn't like grabbing her head and shoving it up my butt and farting in her face while we were walking. I was just walking side by side and I'm like, sorry, it is what it is. But if someone's intentionally doing that, and I don't enjoy it, like it'd be funny the first time, but if they just kept doing it and then they were kind of like, I'd be like, yeah, okay, cool. Well, I'm gonna go this way. See you later, you fucking idiots. I don't want to. I don't find that to be enjoyable. So, So, is he an asshole for not wanting to run with them? No, but you are an asshole for not actually speaking to them about. You don't make excuses.
Right.
You don't have to make excuses about this.
Also, don't talk to, maybe ask another neighbor, but like, don't start spreading this around. Don't be the town gossip.
Yeah. No. It's fine to be like, hey, does this happen to you guys too? And if it does, hopefully that emboldens you to be like, all right, I'm not crazy.
Right.
Because you could be like, man, is this weird to me that this is happening? But yeah, if it has happened and you can confirm it, then it should give you hopefully more confidence to be like, yeah, I don't want to do this because I don't enjoy that.
Well, they also
it's just a joke. Okay.
What's
I
that?
don't enjoy it. They'd be like, it's just a joke. Okay, I don't find it funny.
All right, cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've confided in other neighbors. They claim that it happened to them. Well, when they brought it up to John and Sarah, they played it off as a joke and dismissed it. So other people have brought it up, and it's been fine. So there's no reason you can't bring it up too.
Yeah.
Other people have already broached the subject, and apparently, I sounds like the neighborhood does not have a giant rift in it. So you could bring it up to them as well. And maybe if multiple people bring it up, John and Sarah are going to start going, we better cool it on this.
Yeah. Because the way I read that is when they brought it up to John and Sarah, they played it off as a joke and dismissed it, almost being like, oh, it's just a joke. You know,
we're kidding.
I don't feel like anything was necessarily resolved, so to speak.
Absolutely.
But I mean, it's just simple as that. If these people are calling you and bugging you to run, and you're like, I can't because I have explosive diarrhea or whatever, because everyone gets one of those.
Right.
You just get one. You can't use it again,
That's true.
Yeah, you don't have to get inventive with that. Just fucking, I don't know, man. I think it comes with getting a little bit older. I'm not an expert in this yet, but I'm getting to the point now where I'm like, what's the point in lying?
Yeah.
I don't want to be here right now. Like, I don't want to go to your party. It's nothing personal. I just don't want to be there today.
Right.
That day. We're still friends, but I don't want to go.
Right.
I shouldn't have to invent a reason as to why I don't want to go to your thing.
No is a perfectly acceptable answer. Hard stop.
Exactly. Yeah.
Hard stop.
Yeah. If someone's like, why? It's like, I don't know. Just not going to work for me that day.
Yeah.
No disrespect for you. Just don't want to do it. So, sure_internal 2169. I hope you find the courage to tell these neighbors, how you really feel about this. And you can do it in a respectful way. Telling the truth doesn't mean being a dick.
Right.
All right. But you can tell them in a way that is be like, I don't enjoy running while you guys crop dust. It's distracting. I find it incredibly just off-putting, and I don't want to do it. So if you all can agree not to do that, happy to run with you. If that's going to be too much of a problem, then, cool. We'll just run on our own and no big deal. All right. Enjoy yourselves. I don't hate you, so on and so forth, So,
yep.
Yeah,
there you go.
You got
this. It is decided.
I love it.
Done.
Crop dust.
I mean, that was well placed. Very apropos.
Thank you. You don't even know what that means.
Very Edgar Allan Poe.
Now we're talking. I couldn't think of the thing that, nevermore! I was like, Claudia! I'm like, it doesn't say someone's name.
Man, what a
Lenore, right? Is that her name? Lenore?
Quoth, my sweet Lenore, quoth the raven, nevermore.
Quoth Claudia!
Claudia!
It's a lock!
Oh my God, what a different poem that would have been. Doug, we got we lined up again, man.
We did. We
on our recs here, yeah. So
did.
why don't you give our joint recommendation today?
The Flash,
which is something I did not think I'd hear you say.
I know. Available now on Max, starring Ezra Miller and other people. But it was one of those movies. It kind of had a little bit of controversy around it because Ezra Miller is going through a tough time, to put it lightly.
Yep.
Done a lot of wild shit. And some people are like, I don't think we should support this movie because he's doing wild shit to people. But that aside, I'm pretty, at this point, neutral on the DC universe. In the past, I may have been like, man, they're just trying to copy Marvel, which they are. Yeah. But I've been able to go back and watch them and just appreciate it is what it is. And I watched this movie with zero expectations, and I had a really good time. Yeah. Taking the Danny Kravitz and Jared Urbis approach. I just watched it, and I'm like, this is fun. It's not perfect by any stretch of the imagination. There's definitely like really high highs and really low lows, I think, for me.
Absolutely.
But I found Ezra Miller to be very charming. There were some really great heartfelt moments. There were some really great comedic moments. And I looked at it as, although there are some connections to obviously other movies and characters and things like that, I enjoyed it as like a standalone film. I thought it was really solid.
Absolutely, yeah. I think when Bob asked me what my review of it was, I said it was fun.
Yeah.
And that's where it starts and stops. I was like, it was fun. It was fun. It had a lot of humor in it. Some like shockingly chuckle out loud parts where I'm like, that's really good. As like you said, Ezra Miller, I think they have impeccable comedic timing, especially in this role. Love them for this role.
Yeah.
I really hope they can get their shit figured out because right now, a little weird, little some very stuff going on, but
some big legal troubles.
Yeah, and but that is to say the CG in this was horribly uncomfortable. So like it wasn't without its flaws. Yeah, but if you just look at it for what it was definitely there. And the thing I loved that I didn't think, how do I put this? I thought this would annoy me more so than me actually ending up enjoying it, but the fan service that this paid, I was like, yeah, I actually did a good job with it. Like typically if you cater to the fans a little too hard, I'm like, wow, you're reaching, you're hoping you get the nerds to go, oh man, nerdgasm. But this one actually, this hit. It's not obviously not a spoiler. Michael Keaton as Batman in this is a very, very welcome return to the character. He did such a great job.
Nice job with, they brought that original Batman music in as well.
When they walked up to the manor first, again, this isn't any spoilers, but the musically, the theme just starts to shift and you hear a little bit of that Elfman. I'm like, oh, I got excited. I'm like, oh, that's a well-placed music cue right there. That is a well-placed cue.
I looked at this as like a nice homage to all the other versions and things like that. It was really cool. It was really fun. And again, a lot of heart in it. Some great emotional moments. Yeah. It's worth it. It's worth a watch. It's streaming now on HBO. On Max.
Yeah, you got it. Yeah. Go into it again with no expectations. Go into it with an open heart and an open mind. Yeah. And I think you might have some fun.
Yeah, absolutely. And especially the part where the Flash is going really fast and he stops and says,
"You got to get your dick out."
It's impactful. Tears.
It's very impactful.
Hit me right in the moist spots. When he said that.
Exactly.
So oddly enough, that is actual clip from stuff that happened in real life. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Which is, look, that's art imitating life right there.
It is. It's really weird. Anyway. Followed by
I'm gonna come.
So
absolutely, yeah.
I haven't played that in a while.
I did think the Trump cameo was very weird.
Very strange. Yeah. Really unnecessary.
Very unnecessary, yeah. Just post-coitus
the reason why this
Trump.
movie was controversial. You know what I mean?
There it is, yeah.
Anyway, that's our recommendation. Check it out. Also, just again, reminder, check us out, youtube.com/mindgappodcast. Like and subscribe. Check out the description for a link to our Discord, to our merch at redbubble.com, and patreon.com/mindgappodcast. Appreciate all of your support. You're wonderful. I'll see you all Friday night at 8 p.m. Central for the next iteration of Baldur's Gate 3 with the cool people Seth, Emilio, and Clarissa. Hopefully she'll hang on to those sausage and beat the shit out of some more goblins with those. That'll be great. And Justin
quotes out of context as well. On Instagram, you can follow me at Justin_Michael, spelled Mikel. It's the fun way of spelling it while you're in the online realm. Any place where you can find and consume quality podcasts, you can find and consume us. We'd appreciate it if you like, subscribe, share, rate, review, all those things. The big one is sharing. That means a huge bit to us. I came into that sentence wrong. We're going to power through. Sharing's the big one. And TwoEastEighth.com, TwoEastEighth on all social media, loveandimprovfilm.com, loveandimprovfilm on Instagram.
Yeah. Thank you all for hanging out with us. We love you. And with that, I'll say, Justin, thank you.
Douglas, thank you.
Listeners and viewers, thank you. And you all, have a dandy fucking week.
Mind Gap Podcast.